going to be learning about Zentangles, and these are a lot of the different Zentangles I've been looking up and just learning to practice on my own. So you can see that on one of my post-it note things that I have, I just doodled on the back. So there really isn't any particular way that you need to, you have to do it on a certain paper, or it has to be a certain size. It's really anything. You could even do it on a post-it note. So Zentangles are just meant to be small. And like I said earlier, this is all based off of the two individuals, Rick and Maria, who came up with Zentangle. And just to help you remember is Zen meaning something, you know, relaxing and calming, and tangle are a lot of lines and patterns that intertangle together. And so that's how they came up with Zentangle. And they basically used black and white more for simplicity, which means just for being easy for everybody, so you don't have to worry about color or any of that. So what you're going to need today is a pen and a pencil, and obviously a piece of paper of some sort. You can use any type of pen that you have. I'm going to use my little Papermate one that I have. You can see the dog kind of chewed a little on it, but I know the micron pens are really great. So if you watching other tutorials, you'll see that a lot of those artists use this, and it's because you can see the difference in the pen tip. So this pen tip is very fine, meaning that it's really tiny and small, and you can see that difference between this one and that one. So that's why we use a lot when you're doing smaller details. You need like a finer tipped pen, but larger details you might use a larger one. But because we're beginning and starting off, we're going to start with a larger one. And the pencil is more for the shading at the very end. So let's get started. First thing that we're going to do is on your paper, or if you have a post-it note, let's just draw a square. So it's not going to be big, it's going to be small, and it does not have to be perfect. So try just drawing a square. And remember, I know for me as well, is whenever I'm drawing, sometimes when I'm following a video, I need to pause it. So remember, you can always pause the video as you're going and then catch up with me if I'm going a little too fast, or if you need to rewind it just to see how I got there, because I do that for myself all the time. All right, from a lot of the other videos that I've watched, Zentangles are supposed to be relaxing and peaceful, and that's what I want you guys to think about as you're doing yours. So sometimes when you're focusing really hard, we forget to breathe, which is kind of funny to think about that, but we do. And so it's important to remember to breathe in and out. You could do rainbow breathing or the hot cocoa breathing, where you remember you breathe in, smell the hot cocoa, and blow the steam out. So just if you feel that, you're concentrating a lot and thinking a lot, just remember to relax and breathe. Okay, so what I wanted to say was I changed up my lessons in here a little bit with my video. I started with the one on the left, but then I was afraid I might make it seem too difficult for you guys. But it's really easy, trust me. So I am going to skip to the next drawing that I did, because it just kind of gives you a good warm-up on how to do some cool drawings. And I'm sure it looks a little bit more complicated, but it's one easy line over and over and over again, which is really nice. So the second one that we're going to do is the one on the bottom down here then, and that just gives you a couple really neat Zentangle ideas, and those are really simple as well. And that'll just keep warming you up to some of the other Zentangle options that are out there and also in that folder. So if you want to create your own. And then the third one will be this one right here, which is my favorite, the one that I started with. And I know it looks complicated, but it's actually broken down really simply. So it's
reminds me of doodling, and I think you'll like that a lot. The other one on the right, all the way, is just a quick little sketch I gave some ideas on. So don't worry about that one. Let's get started.
And this one is really easy. So I'm going to draw a square. Okay. And then what you're going to do is the 4 dots in each corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. For this next one, you're going to connect these dots. Perfect. And what you're going to do next is going to seem a little weird, but it's really fun. You're going to, starting in this corner here, I want you to draw a line up to this spot. Good. Now I'm going to take this line and I'm going to draw it to this spot over here. Kind of like a crisscross. And I'm going to draw a line down this way. And now I'm going to connect it as best as I can to here. Perfect. I'm going to keep doing the same thing. Now I'm going to connect it here. Try to make it as narrow as you can. Narrow meaning close. Right? Keep going. Connecting. Like this. See how it's coming together really neat? So again, wherever you stopped, you're going to draw up towards the other line, and then that one you're going to connect it somewhere over to that line, and you draw straight down, and then you're crossing over. So up to the side, down and over, up to the side, down and over. Don't worry if your lines are not perfect. And if you end up doing wider ones and you're done before me, that's fine too. I've actually done that as well. Or if you're doing really close ones, you'll have a different effect, and that's going to look really neat. So I know sometimes we always wonder, how do they make those really cool staircases? This is kind of how you would create that. All right. Keep doing an angle and keep going in smaller, smaller, until you're going to have no more room. Perfect. And there you go. So if you don't like any of this space here, what you can do is just kind of draw these lines and fill them out. Sometimes you might not. I just did it really wide in the beginning. And that'll add a different effect to your Zentangle design at the end of this. So there are many different ways to do Zentangles. You can do Zentangles where you have 3 different things. You could do Zentangles that are only 1. So in the folder, I have given you, you can have squares that are already made for you, and you could try to copy those. So I think this is a little bit more of the difficult one. This is the easier one. The in-between, come up with your own Zentangle version. So I'm going to draw a bigger square for this one here. So you can make it as big as you want, but Zentangles are meant to be small, like the size of a Post-it note. So remember, you start with your square and then you end up with your 4 dots, and that kind of gives it that nice frame. Draw my lines. Again, they don't have to be straight and perfect. And if you don't want to do the wave, what you could do is you could break it up with something different, like a V. So I'm going to start with my V here, and I'm going to come down to this corner, and I'm going to come up like this. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And using some of those fun different Zentangle designs that I have in our folder, you can do, like, for example, if you want to do a rainbow. start with your rainbow line, and let's add, so we'll keep it all very similar. Let's have 3 lines, all right? Off of this 3 lines here, 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna do another 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm gonna do it off this one. 1, 2, 3. Now in the middle, I'm gonna do that one. 1, 2, 3. Over here. 1, 2, 3. So I want you to keep going. Yours does not have to look exactly like mine. You can make them as big or small as you'd like. Okay. And sometimes it's nice to just watch first. Okay. So I count in my head 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna keep doing it. 1, 2, 3. So even if it's not on here. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then here would just be 1. So now I have this really neat Zentangle feel in this spot, which is fun. Okay, so then I'm gonna look and think, what other ones do I want to do? And I've seen some really neat, cool ones too. So if I wanted to do these curves and then go to a more of a geometric shape, I could do that too. So how about, we're gonna do, let's draw a triangle here and draw another triangle here. Now I'm going to draw the triangle line off of this one, and I'm going to do the same here. Perfect. Kind of gives it this cool effect, huh? All right, so now in this one, I'm going to draw another triangle. Okay, I'm going to draw another triangle inside there that's close, and I'm going to draw another triangle shape. Color in that small one. Now color in that one in the middle. Perfect. Let's do that over here. I'm going to draw a triangle, draw another one, and I'm going to draw a smaller one. Let's color in that small one. And color in this next one. So now I've got my 2 bottom ones down. Let's start up here. I'm going to draw an upside down triangle, but if it's easiest for you, you can always turn your paper. So with my paper turned, I'm going to do the same thing. And you'll notice it's basically 3 triangle lines inside of it. I'm going to color in the small one first, and then I'm going to color in this bigger one. Okay, so doing a great job. There is no wrong answer for coloring in and how you turn your paper. You'll notice I turn my paper this way because I'm a lefty, so I can angle it this way. If you're a righty, you probably will turn it that way for yourself. All right, same thing for this one. Draw my triangle 2 times, 3 times, and color in. Okay. Now I'm going to turn my paper and I'm going to do the same thing here. 1 triangle, 2, 3. Voila. Color in that smaller one. Okay. I turn my paper. Do the same thing here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, color that one in. So you notice that I made this one a lot bigger than my other Zentangles, and it's just taking me a little bit longer to color in, and that's okay too. Okay, now for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my first one, right? I'm going to draw my second one, and then I'll draw my third one. Okay, now I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to have my dot here. I'm going to draw and connect. There's the first one. Do my next dot, connect the lines. Don't worry if it's not perfect, like mine. You can see I just did that. And I do another dot here, and I'm going to connect that one. And voila! The next thing that you're going to do is color in, just like we did. Start with the small one. Okay. And you notice you can always make it look more diamondy-like. That's fine. And then I'll do the next one. So here I've got 2 of my 3 sections filled out. So like I said, you could either do only 1 in, you could do the 3 by making a wave or a V like we did. There's so many endless possibilities. And I want to show you, it doesn't have to be in, kind of going back to what I had, it doesn't have to be in only black and white. Sometimes I only had a pen at the time with me that was a green or a purple. So like for example, my Micron pen, I have the shades of purple ink. Otherwise I have black, but I have those at school. So I use whatever I have at home, and you know, pencil, it just smears. So thick markers, colored pencils, probably not as easy to work with. If you don't have a pencil, I used a black color pencil here to add in my shading. So we did do this awesome loop one, the egoism, and then we also did cubine on ours, and these were 2 great examples done by an artist, Martha Arrington Art. So I really like looking at her stuff too. And otherwise Zentangle and YouTube have a lot of different things. So you could do simple things of here's just zigzags, and we could do a zigzag one. You could do this awesome poke root that she showed, and this one was a lot of fun, but it was also a little challenging in the beginning, so I don't want to stress you out too much, but I'm happy to show that to you later too. So maybe let's do this awesome poke root. I know I played with another video, and I learned how to do those awesome flowers and this design here too. This is a fun one as well that we could always practice on. It's basically the same thing over and over again. Like for example, and I had messed up on this one up here first, but what this artist did is kind of made these mountains, right, as they go down. And you don't have to copy me on this. So he did the first lines, and then this one we did straight, and then this one changed the direction. So you can do a lot of really cool things with lines, as you have seen in art class. That's what we all tend to do, is we always start off with learning about line, because line makes up almost everything. And so here I just keep building on the same thing over and over and over again. So for our last one, you could keep, and you would fill this all the way up. This one was challenging, but I finally figured it out. Just like weaving, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, right? Over, under, over, under, over, under, over. So it's just a lot of lines like that. All right, so for our last spot here, we could do that really pretty geometric poke root that she showed in her art. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna start off with 2 parallel lines. Parallel lines are lines that are next to each other. And I'm gonna connect them. You could do a little curve, straight line, doesn't matter. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw a circle around it. Good. Now I'm going to do 2 more lines, connect it, and draw a circle around it. Now I don't want to go outside this line, so I'm going to just leave it like that. And you can change the direction however you want. Imagine branches. Okay, so I might have it growing this way. And you can make them big or small, whatever you feel like. There are so many great lessons on how to do Zentangles, and you can even make your own Zentangles of just your favorite shape. Could be hearts. So you notice sometimes I go back and I keep playing. So as you're going, we're kind of doing these really neat overlapping parts here. Just keep it growing. There are no mistakes. Remember, we just make our beautiful oopses, just like in art class. Okay. I'll be proud of you for just doing any of this. Zentangles are fun. So here we've got to this next step, and I'll show you. If you use a pencil, the next thing that you could do is add in the shading, but what we're going to do is we're going to color in each of these dark areas with our pen. So it's going to make those flowers, those poke roots really stand out. So you can see that difference of, now you have a different pen this time that's really coloring in versus not all the way coloring in. And there's something really pretty about black and white. So if you don't get every little spot filled in, that's fine. I think the most important thing is when you're coloring in that you're kind of staying in the same direction. Don't have to be. I want you to think, how relaxed do you feel? Do you feel good? And if this felt hard, I want you to know that's okay too. I don't want anything to feel too difficult on you guys. This is more just about practice. So I've got these really fun Zentangle parts here. And like I said, this is enough to do for the week. If you want to keep playing and adding more or doing different sizes, of yours, you're more than welcome to. I mean, sometimes I just like playing with hearts, and you can play with, you know, a shape that you really like and turn it into a really neat Zentangle of your own. So Zentangles tend to be almost like doodles, but it's a repeating pattern, and it's supposed to be relaxing. So maybe in a few of these, I would just add in, you know, the heart shapes, and I could keep building this out. But maybe if I had made this into a random different shape of some sort, you know, play with the lines. Maybe you do the directions that way. You do lines one direction, and you do lines another direction. That's an easy way to fill in a space. I could continue it this way if I don't want the hearts to go all the way through. I've also seen where you just do a bunch of different circles, which is what we study in our texture unit. So you can have it where they start small and they grow bigger and bigger and bigger. I've seen that. So I just want you to have fun and share with me your favorite one for when we meet for our end of the week showing off our art, and share it with me so that way I can get it ready for our art show. Okay? All right. If you need anything or you have any questions, know that you can just message me. And if you don't like anything that you're creating, like I said, don't worry. It's just about practice. And I hope that you have fun. I can't wait to see what you create. Thing that we're going to do in our square here is we're going to make 4 dots. So not too close to the edge, but we're going to have our 4 dots inside of our square. Then, remember, we make beautiful oopses, and you're using your pen, is we're just going to draw a line connecting it, and don't worry if it's not a straight line, don't worry about curving it, just kind of draw a line. There we go. So now it looks a little bit like a picture frame. The next step that we're going to do is I'm going to start here, and I'm going to come up like this, come down and touch my paper, and come back up. So it's this kind of curvy wave. Wonderful. So now you'll notice that I have 3 sections. I've got a spot here, a spot here, and a spot here. And that's what we're going to be working on, are adding in different designs inside of each of these spots. All right, so our first design that we're going to make, let's put it in this spot here. So I'm going to turn my paper to make it easier on myself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a curved line like this, and I'm going to make it look like a loop, and I'm going to bring it down, make another loop, and I'm going to bring it up to the top, make a loop, curve it down, make a loop, and once you get really good at it, you can keep going, making these loops, and you could keep continuing it down on the bottom like that. So now we have these really neat loops in here. The next thing that you're going to do is we're going to draw a line, and we're going to kind of follow it, and then you're going to come in but don't touch it, and you're going to go back up and down. So let's show you again. I'm going to follow the shape, curl them in, but don't touch the other line, and keep following that shape until you have no more room. So I'm almost outlining like this, going up, down, in until you have no more room. Does that make sense? So I'm following the shape. And remember, there are only beautiful oopses in art. So don't stress if it's not looking the way you want. So see, all I did was I followed the lines, I stopped, and I'm going to copy that same exact lines and keep going and going and going until I make it where there's no more room. I'm going to fill in all these big spaces with that same thing. Almost feels like doodling, right? Don't worry if you run out or you have to cross over some lines. It just makes it a little darker, and that's pretty cool too. Okay. Now it gets really tough in these small ones. You might only make one line, and that's enough. There we go. So we got our first Zentangle done. Yay! All right, so I'm trying to remember. This Zentangle is called Echoism. So that is the name of this one. This one is called Echoism because it kind of looks like an echo, right? All right, so the next one that we're going to do is, it's kind of fun. So I'm going to turn my paper this way. And what I'm going to have you do is you're going to make 4 circles like this. And then I'm going to do a dot between it. So now it looks like a nose, right? I'm going to do another dot between this one and another dot between this one. Good. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to copy. I'm going to do a dot here, bring this one back down, this one back down, and this one back down. So we have all of these. And I might add one more over here. Pretty cool for these dots, right? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make these really nifty flowers. So what I'm going to have you do is draw a rainbow and now do an upside down rainbow. Going to do it again. A rainbow and an upside down one. And don't worry if they're not perfect. Now I'm going to go from this dot here and I'm going to connect it with an upside down rainbow here and connect it that way. Like this. Okay. And don't worry, they're not perfect, it's fine. I'm going to turn my paper to help me. Right? I'm going to have this one come over here. There's that one. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to work on this one here. Okay. Be like this. See how we're making these really neat flowers? the next one, I'm going to start going down this way. Connect it here. So it's easiest for me to work row by row, because otherwise I think it gets confusing. All right, and then I'm going to, before I work on this one kind of repeats its own little pattern. It could be a nice long one this way. We're going to have it come off, just like that. So they look smaller, and that's okay. Perfect. So now we've got these really beautiful flower designs here, right? So I'm going to turn my paper, and now it's facing this way. And you can do the same thing. So I've got those 4 first. What I might do is 1, 2, 3, and I'll put only 2 down here. And remember, we start by bringing it up to the top for both of them, right? Bring it down to the bottom if you want to do it that way. But for me, I think it's easier if I stay with 1 row at a time, because I think otherwise it gets a little confusing. Okay, this one goes to this corner, this one goes here, and then it's back to each other. So now we got this really neat flower going on. I'm going to turn and rotate my paper again. And now this time, I'm going to stay with this same row here. I'm probably going to just have enough room to do only these small ones. So I'm going to touch the top, go up to the top, meet at that one, like that. Okay, and we're making 4 flowers, petals. Voila! So now we have a Zentangle here, and we have another really neat Zentangle here. We're going to do 1 more Zentangle in that spot. For this spot, I'm going to start with doing a couple lines like this, like that. And then I'm going to do a few lines, 1, 2, 3, like this. Okay. So now I've got this really neat pattern going on right here. Inside that pattern, the next thing, okay, so inside that pattern, the next thing you're going to do is, do you see this diamond shape? In this diamond shape, I am going to make a little square, like that, like an L, and I'm going to color it in. Perfect. Oops, I forgot a step. So in here, I want to, all my diamonds, I want to draw a line in the middle, just like this. Perfect. Okay. So now my next one, do you see this one? I'm going to turn this into a square and color it in. Good. And this one that looks, it's 2 triangles, right? I'm going to draw a line and make it look like a square and color it in. And the same thing over here. A line, square, color it in. And this one already looks kind of like it. You don't have to. You can always just have a tiny bit. Here's my next big one. Draw a line like this. It's like an L shape. Color it in. Make another little L. Okay. Another L here. It's almost like a triangle now. And voila. Perfect. So there is my awesome design. And you might find that you might have a few more that you might come across as you're working. You're like, oh no. So the next thing that you're going to do is we're going to take out our awesome pencils. So we've got our 3 Zentangle designs on here, which is pretty cool. So with my pencil, I'm going to color in the top one for each of my triangles. Okay, so this is the top one. All right, and this is the top one for this one. So you see how they're just opposite, right? So I'm only going to color in the top of my triangles. There we go. So now that gives it that, I don't know if you can see it, that really cool effect. You got black, you got the dark gray, and the white. It almost looks like these really cool cubes. So there's my first one. Now my second one, for the flowers, let's just lightly kind of outline the edges of each of these. Just make them pop a little bit more. And notice I'm not using a sharp pencil. The sharp pencil might make it too difficult to get the shading that you're looking for. And as it gets smaller, you might end up just coloring it in, and that's okay too. You don't have to leave space. Okay, so now we've got this one and this one done and shaded. And then this one, all you're going to do is on your loop-de-loops that we did, those ribbons, I'm just going to outline them with my pencil just to make them look a little bit more 3D. Again, you don't have to if you don't want to. I'm only doing the loops, so you can see them a little better. And there you go. So there is our first Zentangle, woohoo, with the 3 parts to it.